bear patiently the cross of grief or pain. Folks, in connection with the beautiful full moon last night, I'd like to read you this poem on page 39 by Franklin Buell in his book, Something of Love. You want to see his picture? I remember that in Buffalo, where the nights can be very cold but very clear, I was always impressed by the full moon. And I asked Frankie to write this poem about a full moon. You know, behind every successful man is a proud wife and a flabbergasted mother-in-law. But the moon last night was spectacular. It was so cold, it was so clear. And I see it rising in the east, and then I see it setting in the west. It's a great gift. Visitor, making a midsummer call, he is no bother at all. He doesn't talk, never eats, never takes the softest seats. Though he may come late at night, there's no need to leave a light. He doesn't mess up a bed, requires no planning ahead, careful not to stay too long. He seems to do nothing wrong, but all that does not reveal the key to this guest's appeal. It's a smile through a window frame that makes you glad. The full moon came. Franklin Buell. Here's one of the best laughs that I've had. This is the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. And just a little background here. Congress gave you a law that you could complain about a judge on the basis of judicial misconduct or judicial disability, so that you didn't have to go through the lengthy decade process of going through the Senate. This was a quick and easy way to complain about a judge. And so the process is that you take the United States District Court judge, in this case Paul L. Friedman, in the United States District Court, Washington, D.C., and you complain to the circuit in which that judge is. And the chief judge of the circuit looks at the complaint and decides whether to dismiss it or to do something about it. Well, I've written over 150 of these judicial misconduct and disability complaints, codified as Title 28 U.S. Code, Section 351, Judicial Reform Act of 2002. And before that was 371, Judicial something Reform Act of 1982, I guess. They should write a Judicial Reform Act every week. Congress should. Anyhow. And then the chief judge of the circuit writes back and tells you that you're not going to do anything about the complaint. He's going to say that it's frivolous, that it's related to the decision, and that you can't complain about a judge using Title 28 U.S. Code 351 on the basis of the decision. The proper venue, or the proper canal for that is the appeal. Okay, so I complained about Friedman, right? And then the head judge in the Second Circuit, Ginsburg, or somebody else, wrote back and just, fluffed off the complaint. putting the United States of America in the back and putting themselves and their self-interest in the front. So, if you don't like what the Chief Judge does, the law says that you can petition the Judicial Council of the Circuit for review. Who is the Judicial Council? Well, it's a mob of judges from the United States District Court and from the United States Court of Appeals. And so the mob from the United States Court of Appeals in the District of Columbia was 14 people. It was Ginsburg, it was Henderson, it was Kennedy, it was Garland, it was a whole bunch of judges. And so they affirmed the Chief Judge's dismissal of my judicial misconduct complaint, judicial misconduct and disability. And so, which was wrong, and that's the end. You can't go any farther than that. Except that great inspiration came to me when these 14 judges dismissed my complaint about the Chief Judge's decision about Friedman. I complained about the entire Judicial Council and wrote a disability and misconduct complaint about them. Now who's going to review that? All right, so here's the letter that gave me the best laugh I've had this year. The year is only 8 days old. Dear Miss Glendora, your complaint alleging judicial misconduct by the entire Judicial Council has been filed today, etc. By the entire Judicial Council. That is precious. And that's from Mark Lynch Berlanga, the clerk of the U.S. Court of Appeals in Washington, D.C. What the errands I wasn't very good about videotaping, they were to the post office, and I forgot to take the videotapes to Chat with Glendora to mail, and then to the Seventh-day store to buy a substitute for the church supper instead of killing pigs, poor little pigs, to buy a substitute to that, a vegetarian chocolate. No, it's not a chocolate, it's a cutlet. You bread it, and you bake it, or you fry it, and then go along with the rest of their menu, stuffing and potatoes and peas and gravy, and rolls, I guess. And the third errand was to go see Ralph Tompkins, my Beekman friend. And the fourth one was to go to take to lunch. I brought a vegetarian lunch at the Seventh-day store in Pleasant Valley to see my funeral director. I love my funeral director. As a matter of fact, she's a trustee of the Glendora Franklin Living Trust for the preservation of the Pro Se Public Access and Newspaper Museum. She's a successor trustee. Excuse me. She's a successor trustee. Devin, Courtney, and Megan are the successor trustees. There are only 7, 8, and 9, or 8, 9, yeah, 7, 8, and 9. And then I went to Walmart and Fishkill. See, these other Walmarts up here don't compare to Fishkill. They don't have a super grocery store. And it's important. Imperial margarine at Price Chopper is $1.09. At Walmart, it's 50 cents. Pot pies at Walmart are 44 cents. At Price Chopper, they're 99 cents. Progresso soup at Walmart is $1.50. At Price Chopper, it's $2.29. This goes on and on and on. I figure that at Price Chopper, you are paying anywhere from 40 cents to 50 cents extra on the dollar. Now, what does that do to people on a fixed income, retired? And they're getting away with it, but they won't for long, because East Greenbush is opening up a super Walmart, and that means a super grocery store. And the last one was the interview you saw with that amazing young man, Jordan Siniglia, who knows so much about trains, and we only just touched the very top of it. He knows so much more. I want to call to your attention this telephone bill from Verizon, okay? What's interesting is these two figures right here. The one monthly charge for dial tone is $8.61. The tax on that, surcharges and taxes, is $10.59. Is there something wrong here, folks? Is the public getting stiffed? We certainly are. And you've got to join me in a protest. Here's my funeral director's new card. She's now a vice president, in addition to being a funeral director, for which she went to school. And they have their own flower shop. They have a limousine service too. How did she get interested? Well, when she was a little girl, her father worked at the funeral home, and when he'd go over on weekends, he'd ask her if she'd want to go, and she would go over, and she liked it. And I like her. Okay, I think we're down to jokes. Peter says, I see spots before my eyes. And his friend says, well, did you see a doctor? Peter says, no, just spots. The doctor said to the patient, there's nothing I can do for your sickness. And this is after many sessions of treatment. There's nothing I can do for your sickness. It's hereditary. And the patient says, okay, doc, send the bill to my father. You heard about the doctor who was so meticulous that during the 1950s, when he gave a shot for the German measles, he gave 2 shots, one for East Germany and one for West Germany. And Johnny says, our dog is like one of the family. And his mother-in-law says, which one? The inventor who crossed an electric blanket with a toaster, why? So people would pop out of bed in the morning. And Peter wrote home to his daddy from college. He said, Dad, I tried out for the drama club, and I've already got a part. I'm playing the part of a man who's been married 30 years. And his dad wrote back, and he says, good, son. He says, I hope in your next drama you get a speaking part. We are told that the economy will pick up in the last quarter, and Peter says, that's good, I'm down to my last quarter right now. There are some things, folks, that money cannot buy. For instance, what it bought 10 years ago. And they say that teenagers don't know the value of the dollar. Well, they do. That's why they ask for 20. This is Glendora, chat with Glendora, on 42 TV stations, including Washington, D.C., thanks to George McDermott.
Okay, that's perfect. I'll give him a little bit more time to do what he has to do.
Okay.
All right, that'll be okay then, Glendora.
Did I tell you about the man who wanted a small pet that was good company and something he could take with him?
No.
So he got a centipede?
Your centipede?
Yeah, he bought a centipede.
That's cute.
So he took it home and he took the lid off the box. He said, centipede, you want to go to lunch? No answer. An hour later, he takes the lid off the box and he says, centipede, I know a great place down on Main Street. Let's go to lunch. No answer. 3 hours later, he takes the lid off the box and he says, centipede, I'm getting hungry. Let's go to lunch. And the centipede says, I heard you the first time. I'm putting on my shoes.
That's cute. Oh, that's adorable. Does he like to have 100 pairs of shoes to put on, eh?
Right. Or would it be 50 pair? I guess it would be 50 pair.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay, God be with you till we meet again. The that look delicious? Isn't that a great shake? That's a banana pineapple shake. 2 bananas, half a can of large pineapple juice, I would say 1/4 cup of almonds, and a half a cup of oatmeal, raw oatmeal, then blend it. Be still my soul, the Lord is on thy side. Bear patiently the cross of grief or pain. Leave to thy God to order and provide in every change. He faithful will remain. Be still my soul. Thou real, thou friendly, no, be still my soul. I'll have to go look it up, folks. Okay. Be still my soul, the best thy heavenly friend, through thorny ways leads to a joyful end. People, viewers of A Chat with Glendora, and court reformers, this is from the City Court of the City of Rye. And it's saying that the hearing, actually the conference of Glendora versus Charles F. Dolan and Cablevision Systems Corporation, is now going to be held on the 30th of June. I wish you would go. At 8 a.m. City Court, City of Rye. Peter Lane is always gracious. He always offers you something to drink, but it's water. It's never rye. And Glendora has an answer to this. On January the 8th, 2004, Anno Domini, United States of America, State of New York, County of Westchester, City Court, City of Rye. Glendora Plaintiff Appellant Remand versus Charles F. Dolan and Cablevision Systems Corporation, Defendant, Appellee, and Reversed. Small Claims 2002-146, Glendora application to the court. Glendora would like more than a conference. She has to drive 150 miles south, leaving at 6 a.m. to get to Rye, and 150 miles north to get back home, and alone. There is no Franklin. Could she have a hearing in lieu? Could the case be fully briefed before the court appearance? A conference is acceptable if Cablevision Systems Corporation and Charles F. Dolan, defendants, will agree at said conference to give Glendora the $3,000 the Supreme Court awarded, plus the $100 postage wasted by Charles F. Dolan and Cablevision Systems Corporation. Glendora vehemently opposes the extended motion practice as occurred last year. Most of this waste was caused by Callaghan's ineptitude. Callaghan is their Park Avenue lawyer. It's so dumb. That cost alone $5,000. Charles Dolan is failing his fiduciary responsibility to shareholders. Adjourn, Glendora asked? No, this case was dismissed by the Rye City Court last year. A case dismissed cannot be adjourned. It is more like a hearing on the reversal and remand of Glendora versus Charles F. Dolan and Cablevision Systems Corporation will be held on January 30, 2004 at 8:30 a.m. Changing dates is an adversity for Glendora. She has to reschedule or line up new monitors. Her best monitor may not be able to make a Friday. He could have made January 22nd Thursday. Big note. The caption of this case is as Glendora wrote it. Glendora plaintiff versus Charles F. Dolan and Cablevision Systems Corporation defendant. This is exactly as the caption must appear on all papers. A caption cannot be changed without an order from the court. Such order must honor due process. No matter which court did this adulteration of the caption, municipal or state, illiteracy will not be tolerated. Glendora will sue judges and clerks under Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 1513, Criminal Code, for tampering with the record. She will invoke Criminal Code 18 U.S. Code, Section 1941, RICO, Racketeer Influence Crime Organization, to give the federal court subject matter jurisdiction over a criminal act. What did the judge say to the dentist? Do you swear to pull the tooth, the whole tooth, and nothing but the tooth? Dated January 8, 2004, Anno Domini, State of New York, yours in truth, and in Armo Patriae, without prejudice, Uniform Commercial Code, Book 1, Section 207, Glendora, a chat with Glendora on 42 TV stations, including Washington, D.C., and including Rye, New York. Service list: Charles F. Dolan, Cablevision Systems Corporation, courtesy copy to City Court Judge Peter Lane, Clerk of the Court, Caligee, Glendora TV audience, that's you, the most important one on this list. McDermott, Nancy, CJA, Center for Judicial Accountability, Incorporated, Zabby, and Annie. Opus 1082, 3 hours and $8. And a copy of all the mistakes corrected that the Rye City Court sent through the mail, and that would be mail fraud. Mail fraud. And guess what? I actually left a page silent. Now you see this big pile behind my shoulder? Well, that's the case. Those are the papers on the case to date. And I've got to go through all these and make notes, so I will be prepared for anything that comes up in court. Folks, I just sent $50 to Maggie, the Green Animal Welfare Alliance. Can you help out the doggies and the kitties who don't have homes and who have babies that nobody wants? Folks, somebody sold our name to the American Cancer Society, and I don't think that's nice. I don't think that's right, do you? And it says, I hope we can count on you. And I say, do you experiment on animals? And I'm sending the whole thing back to them. This is the Folsom Family Bulletin. Glendora Vesta Folsom Buell. Folsom is an adulteration of Folsham, F-O-U-L-S-H-A-M. And Folsham in Old England meant the home. That's Folsham, the home of the birds. And that's where John and Mary Folsom, who sailed to America in 1638, and their family once lived and farmed. And Folsom came Folsom over here. I want you to know, folks, I want you to know that not one of these cats is mine. Not one is mine. They all belong to Mrs. Odell and to Megan Odell. 1, 2, 3, 4. But they certainly like it here. They will never go home and stay. She has a skin affliction. She itches all the time. And you have to keep the bandage on her, or she digs her skin. She digs way down till the skin exposes blood and scabs. But she's getting better. Is this a good idea? This is to the send a story. I want to hear from you. Yes, I'm talking to you. This bulletin, the Folsom Family Association, is one of the great things about having a family as large as ours, is that we are bound to have some very informative stories to tell that others may want to hear. So I sent them this. Glendora Vesta Folsom is now on TV in the nation's capital. A chat with Glendora is seen on Channel 5, Comcast DC TV in Washington, D.C. Glendora reports on federal, state, and municipal judges who do not do their job, justice. They are trying to rob us of America. A chat with Glendora is on 42 TV stations across the USA, Oregon, New Mexico, District of Columbia, Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York. Glendora agitates for perfect people, a perfect world, the end of cruelty and injustice. She sings hymns on her program, says prayers, tells jokes, and reads court papers. She was on the David Letterman show talking about happiness and being interviewed about the president of the National Broadcasting Company appearing on her show. Do you know computers are in the Bible? She asked. Yes. Eve said to Adam, do you want an apple too? Hi there, everybody. I want to introduce you to Nancy DeCroce, who is a Queens resident, and she has a very important statement to all of you people in New York City and New York State. Hello, Nancy. How are you?
Just fine, thank you.
Okay, read us your statement, please.
Okay. We all need to be troubled by loss of integrity.
Welcome to a chat with Glendora, America's champion of pro se litigants' rights and First Amendment rights. Stay tuned, we will be right back with our show.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! Who are we? Acorn! When do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! Who are we? Acorn! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! The people! United! Will never be defeated! The people! United! Will never be defeated! The people! United! Will never be defeated! The people! United.
George McDermott just gave me this, folks. Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. Not that anybody follows them.
Amen to that.
Except us pro se's. We follow them. But the lawyers don't follow them, and the judges don't follow them. There's Federal Rules of Civil Procedures, published by West. Here it is, folks, ready to serve.
Ethics?
Yeah, let me see. Professional conduct and code of professional responsibility.
Not worth the paper it's written.
Oh, there's, I mean,
Complete
the law in it.
disrespect
This is allegedly the law, and it's incorporated in Article 3 of the United States Constitution.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
What?
Is it incorporated?
It's incorporated in Article 3 of the Constitution. Okay?
Not
There's
aware
a
of
code.
that.
There's a code of professional conduct and a standard of professional responsibility. That's
You mean for
that,
judges?
that if you get the constant, if you go down to the Library of Congress, I'll put it in my hand and give me Article 3, go through it, and bingo, the pages are reference to what is professional conduct and what is not. Well,
There's no enforcement.
there is no
No
enforcement
enforcement.
because who's
There's no
enforcing it?
adherence.
Who's enforcing it? The people who are enforcing it are your fellow lawyers. They don't want retaliation. They don't want legal malpractice insurance to go up. So they turn a blind eye to all of these injustices that are happening. Elena is a pro se litigant. The under 28-1654, she has a right to initiate or defend an action in her own right at any time. Okay, the law further goes on to say, and that it's a judge's responsibility. It's the judge's duty and responsibility, and this is case law, that she should not be forced to surrender any right or liberty due to her lack of experience.
There was no issue here.
But
as
see,
far as lack of experience
But
or
the
knowledge
thing is,
per se.
he had no right proceeding once the subpoenas weren't issued. In my opinion, okay, and other law professionals, once the defendants the prosecution's witnesses showed up and you had issued subpoenas to them, and they sat down and told you that not only had they not provided discovery, but they had failed to bring any of the documents with it, the judge at that point should have dismissed the hearing and ordered discovery.
Well,
I mean, that's
discovery,
procedural 101.
I had made a formal motion to enforce my discovery rights. The judge allowed the prosecution to disregard its production obligations and to pretend that there were no outstanding discovery issues, which was an out-and-out lie, and I mean a falsification of the record of my rights. But obviously, when you go to trial, you are entitled in advance to discovery, and I had additionally, as you have correctly pointed out, served subpoenas which also required production at trial of documents, and what you had is the usual lawlessness by witnesses or deceit of witnesses. No, they didn't bring any documents. No, they don't have any recollection.
No.
It's all, they can't remember anything. They don't know anything. I mean, these are professional people. These are people.
These are law
are-
enforcement officers.
These are
I mean,
this is U.S. Capitol Police.
If I
No
get a
records,
subpoena, if I would
no
walk
records,
into
no
court and
files,
didn't have
no.
a subpoena, you know, I sat in a trial here in U.S. District Court in Greenbelt the other day, and the lawyer told the judge. Apparently the defendants had been issued subpoenas, but I had to stand up and correct the court because I know that knew for a fact that they had not been supposed to serve subpoenas, but the judge didn't stop at that. He issued a bench warrant if they weren't there by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Did I see this judge issue any bench warrants? Did I see him admonish these people?
No, but truly, this had been the pattern pre-trial. It continued at trial. Moreover, you not only had non-production, you had the admission, only shortly before trial, that tapes had been destroyed.
Crucial evidence.
Crucial evidence had been quote lost.
Yes.
Now that in itself is an important pre-trial inquiry. Lost? What do you mean by lost? There is a proper inquiry to be undertaken. Whether lost also means destroyed.
Destroyed.
And there are rights that I have that flow from destruction. But again, all these pre-trial issues were just thrown aside by the judge. At trial, they were ignored also, although I have rights flowing from them. But really what you said before, I think, is very noteworthy, and that is that a judge is charged with the duty of enforcing standards of professional responsibility and conduct. And what you had in this litigation, but this litigation is illustrative of what goes on in the average case.
Oh, I see it every
where
day.
you have biased judges. Biased judges don't enforce standards of conduct on the misbehaving party that he or she wishes to favor. That is the party that gets away with everything.
Amen to that.
And it's the law of the jungle. No tactic is too unscrupulous, unethical. The more the better, and the court allows it, and the aggrieved litigant is just out of luck. There's no respect for ethical rules of professional responsibility. I mean, here, in this lawsuit, as in so many lawsuits involving pro se's, who is the party that is upholding standards of conduct? The pro se.
Absolutely.
The pro se.
At all proceedings.
Adheres to the highest standards of ethics, of procedure, and it's the other side that the officers of the court.
The government, the officers of the court, that they just trample on everything, and we're not accountable to anybody. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to answer anything. We can act as outrageously as we want, and nobody's going to sanction us, or it's never going to get on because the media is going to squelch it, just like they did in this case here. I mean, you didn't hear it. Nobody has talked in the media about the squelching machine. Nobody has talked about the egregious violations of rights. All the media was present when you were handcuffed and led out of the courtroom. None of this was put in the paper, was it?
Let me just say.
I mean, that's outrageous. Nobody talked about the closed door locked proceedings while you were in lockup.
It remains to be seen what will be reported by the weeklies. And by those publications that are not going to be coming out until next week or maybe later this week. But I do think it's fair to say that there are many problems, serious problems with the media. One of them is that to the extent that trials are covered by court reporters hang out at the court. They develop their contacts with the judges, with the law clerks, with the secretary. They don't want to give critical coverage of the very persons on whom they are going to be relying for information
They don't
and
even
access.
They don't even go to the minute step of going to the clerk's office and opening the file and looking at the case file that they might learn the real truth. This is outlawed.
If the judge says it, they assume that the judge must know what he's doing. The judge must be right. There is no critical examination inquiry. I mean, I'll give you an example today of questions that were posed, which were obscene. There did not seem, by two court reporters, neither of whom are lawyers, but who covered trials, criminal trials, there didn't seem to be any particular upset or disquiet. Oh my gosh, this is the first case we ever saw where the criminal defendant who takes the stand is prevented from testifying as to the events at issue in the charge. They had never seen anything like this, but it didn't really seem to bother them. Nor did it seem to bother them particularly that at every stage I was cut off, whether it was the opening, whether it was the closing, whether it was the cross-examination. Indeed, the follow-up of one of the reporters with whom I had this conversation after the trial was, well, as far as he could see, I mean, as far as he understood from everything that his experience at D.C. Superior Court, this case was actually, the trial was actually much longer than any of the other trials in the misdemeanor calendar one of D.C. Superior Court. I said, well, are you comparing this case, the nature of this case, to the other kinds of cases that, you know, the street crime type cases that are on misdemeanor calendar one? I said, maybe you should be asking. I said, certainly from what I can see, a lot of these criminal defendants are being shafted and are being railroaded to trial and pleased on their cases. But quite apart from that, the question is whether or not this case was properly in D.C. Superior Court to begin with. I said, you should be asking why this case was being tried here and not in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia, where it was properly triable, where I made a motion based upon the code provision showing that I had entitlement to trial there. And you should inquire as to how the court disposed of that important motion. And the court disposed of that important motion as to the proper venue of the case by not addressing the code provision and simply ignoring it. And parenthetically, the U.S. Attorney had no argument to oppose the law showing that this case was properly venued in D.C. Superior in D.C. U.S. District Court.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to take another brief intermission, and we'll be right back with Elena, our victim and newest criminal. Activist, telling her story and enlightening us as to how the system really works. But be honest with you folks, I must have been the outsider at the court because, I have to tell it the way it is, and I believe that the record, when it is published, will show without any doubt, conclusive proof that everything that this victim has said here is the absolute God-given truth. And she was robbed today of her status as a first-class citizen. She is now a second-class citizen because she is a criminal.
But we have all been wrong.
Well, the society as a whole is being robbed every day, and I'm a second-class citizen myself. I know that. I'm not a criminal, but the courts deem me.
You haven't reached my statute.
I haven't reached it. No, I have not. No, I swear to God. I mean, I'm falling way behind. But we will get into this further on. But God has been good to us, and what I saw in the D.C. Superior Court makes me very
nauseous.
It makes me nauseous, and it makes me very concerned for the citizens of the District of Columbia who have to put up with this kind of abusive, reckless disregard for the rights and liberties. Not only are they denied the fundamental right that are given to all citizens, to the right to, of being having elected members in Congress who can vote and voting representation. Now they're being given a third or a fourth class legal system that, quite frankly, Saddam Hussein probably had a better one.
I don't know about that, but we certainly don't have anything that's delivering justice.
We have nothing as far as a good justice system in this nation. And D.C. is not the only place, so we will get back to you. God bless and have a good day.
Thank you.
Well, let's see if we got that last part on the tape.
You're very...
common sense and temperament. And those things I hope to bring to the bench if confirmed by the Senate.
Gentlemen, let me say to each of you individually and collectively, it's pretty obvious why you've been nominated for your respective judgeships, and you all possess obviously great legal experience and competence or you wouldn't be here, but you touched on something there, Mr. Woodcock, and that's temperament. And just from your response here today, I think each of you possess that necessary judicial temperance that we need to see more often from the bench than we sometimes do. I will tell you that you may receive written questions from other members of the committee. They have until 5 p.m. on Wednesday, May 28th to submit written questions, and if there are any, they will be submitted to you in short order following that. That being said, if there are no further questions or participations from anyone on the committee, we will stand adjourned. Thank you very much. I will issue a warning that we'll have order. The committee will stand in recess until the police can restore order. Everyone remain seated. I'm directing that the police restore order.
Are you requesting that I be arrested?
Okay. Outside witnesses are welcome to submit letters supporting or opposing nominees for the committee's consideration, but it is not our usual procedure to invite outside witnesses to testify either in support or in opposition to the nomination. I realize this lady is disappointed that she's not able to make any statements this afternoon, but her disappointment in no way condones any disruption of this hearing. Again, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
We're both in New York, and she asked me to put up this number for you. So I'll wait a while. I thought the dog was good, didn't you? The dog certainly had his free speech. Now this is number 4. There were 3 videotapes exposing this horrible thing that, you know something, folks? You don't have anything to say about the judges who are appointed to the federal bench. The public has nothing to say. You have nothing to say, folks. It's just the way when they elected George Bush. You had nothing to say about that. They didn't elect him, they appointed him. You had nothing to say about that, who was going to be the president of the United States. And you have nothing to say about who is going to be on the federal benches. And maybe that's why the federal benches unilaterally, every one I've found, is bad. As I've exposed to you on TV, interminably. This is Glendora, a chat with Glendora, on 42 TV stations. This is a special edition for DC TV, public access in the District of Columbia. Thank you, George McDermott, for all of your work in watching that trial for 5 to 6 days. And this Brian Holman ought to be locked up and put in jail for the violations to America that he perpetrated over the 5 or 6 days of this trial. How Elena Sasshauer is doing. Wow, what a sanctuary. This is a complaint to Congress. U.S. Court of Appeals Judicial Council reviews complaint against the U.S. Court of Appeals Judicial Council. How much of this stuff do you think they think we're going to take? Doesn't this prove how ridiculous federal courts have become? Is it right for the complainee to review the complaint about the complainee? Isn't that what you did? The Judicial Council of the D.C. Circuit reviewed the complaint about the Judicial Council of the D.C. Circuit. Isn't that a nadir? Let's summarize the action. Public Access, District of Columbia, DC TV, would not cablecast a chat with Glendora, and that violated federal law. Glendora sued to demand and enforce her right to be on DC TV. That DC violated America was okay with federal judge Paul L. Friedman. Okay. So Glendora complained about his judicial conduct against America and his disability to the U.S. Court of Appeals, D.C. The Chief Judge, Ginsburg, incestuously took the side of her own and tossed America into the trash. Glendora asked for a review of Ginsburg by the Judicial Council, D.C. Like Friedman, like Ginsburg, the Judicial Council failed America. So, Glendora sued the Judicial Council for rendering meaningless Congress's Judicial Reform Act of November 2002. Meanwhile, the U.S. Court of Appeals, frivolous and with no grounds, went along with Buddy Friedman again and dismissed Glendora's appeal. Further, meanwhile, DC TV started cablecasting a chat with Glendora, which showed that DC TV, their liar for hire, Friedman, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, Ginsburg, the 14 judges on the Judicial Council, what did it show about them both? They were wrong. When Glendora sued the judges in the United States Court of Appeals, D.C., said judges went fugitive and made believe that Glendora was filing a suit in the U.S. District Court, D.C., when she was filing the suit in the United States District Court in Montana. This was criminal under 18 U.S. Code, Section 1001, lying, deliberately misrepresenting, and Glendora invoked RICO to prosecute. Meanwhile, the Judicial Council reviews the complaint about the Judicial Council and says the Judicial Council did not do anything bad. It makes good television, but it makes bad Americanism. What does it prove? It proves that every cent spent on these clowns in these circuit courts is wasted. We call them circus courts. Every clown in these circus courts is wasted. Glendora propelled the cheaters to the ultimate shame, incest. If you want justice, go punch somebody in the nose. You will not find justice in the administration of the business of the courts, which is Title 28, U.S. Code, Section 352. The business of the courts is justice. Friedman, U.S. District Court, D.C., U.S. Court of Appeals, D.C., and the 15 judges thereon that Glendora named have been out of business for years. Their business is justice, and they've been out of business for years. Who won? Well, Glendora won in bringing the matter to a vortex and making public how meaningless are the courts. Who lost? DCTV, their liar for hire, Friedman, U.S. District Court, D.C., Ginsburg through Kennedy, U.S. Court of Appeals, D.C., and these new birds they found, John Roberts, Circuit Judge, Lamberth, Kessler, Richard Roberts, Huvel, Walton, and Bates, district judges. I thought that I cleaned them out of judges, but they keep coming up with more at your taxpayer money of over $140,000 a year. And who loses? America.
We give special thanks to the aforementioned people. George E. McDermott, producer, DCTV, Channel 76 TV, Prince George's County, the Maryland Judiciary and the Federal Judiciary, Lee Young, and Montgomery County Cable Access TV, and finally, fraudvictim.org.
U.S. courts. You want to hear some jokes? Here's their dumb paper where they dismiss the complaint and they give no grounds. And it says, ordered by the Judicial Council, and Glendora puts an arrow to it and says, what stature have they left? Other legal papers are Omnibus 21, Nasty Landlord Natalia, Bully Judge Dixon, and Lawyer for Hire Kleinbaum, and the Village. Folks, do you think it's a good idea to have a little flyer? You can see Glendora's TV show on the internet, www.achatwithglendora.com. Currently playing 12 shows, half hour each. They are webcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Box 124, Ghent, New York, 12075 914 949 9495. Is it a good idea to have a flyer? What do you say? And do I have the right information on here? And on the back is Bob Hope and Glennie. Bob Hope, you made it to 100. I think you were determined to do that. And once you made it, you said, okay. Thanks for the memory. You know, folks, it's very gratifying to be called that another crooked judge is here and another crooked judge is robbing you of America. No justice in the courts. That's a thrill to be called. It's a lot of hard work. It's a cup you wouldn't rather not have. But it's a great gratification to write down what he has done wrong to America and what he's done wrong to you. To read it to you on the TV, to put it on the internet for the whole world, hoping that this judge will confess, repent, restitute, and reform. But guess what is a bigger thrill than that? To clean up my pencil box. To clean it all up. And to clean off this windowsill. And make things orderly, clean, and neat. To bring order out of chaos. And that's something that's been waiting for, oh, I can't tell you how many years. I'll say over 3. Finally, this pencil box is in order. Folks, do you know how you do that? You sit down and you say to yourself, I'm going to make 4 piles. One to keep, one to file, put away in the museum, and one to give away, and one to throw away. And you want to know something? That gets the job done. I called up Charles Dolan one day, back when we were very close friends. And I said, what are you doing today? And the billionaire said, I'm cleaning out the attic. And I said, Charles, you know how you do that? You make 4 piles. One to save, one to file away, one to give away, and one to throw away. He and I are the same age. And he said, good for us, Glendora. Glendora sued 4 circuit judges in the First Circuit, that would be Boston, and a United States District Judge, the lower court in Boston, wrote an order dismissing Glendora's complaint. Well, that's very interesting, folks, because the complaint was not filed in his court. The complaint was filed in Chicago. How can a district judge in Boston dismiss a complaint that was filed in the district court in Chicago? Well, this man, Richard H. Stearns, did it. And I read you my paper on that. Just a minute, let me look at George Bush's copy of that paper. Right here, you remember this paper? I read it to you last week. This is Stearns' order and Glendora's excoriation of it. Now, so Glendora cannot let that go. Cannot let America withstand a wound like that. And so she, on Bastille Day, writes this statement of facts. This is a judicial disability complaint against Richard H. Stearns, United States District Judge, District of Massachusetts, Boston. Stearns wrote an order dismissing a case that was not even filed in his court. The case was filed in the United States District Court, Chicago. Now, is this dementia or isn't it? Glendora is reporting it on her TV show, A Chat with Glendora, and on www.achatwithglendora.com. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, all over the world. This complaint is submitted pursuant to Congress's Judicial Reform Act of 2002, November, 28 U.S. Code Section 352. Stearns' conduct is outrageously prejudicial to the effective and efficacious administration of the business of the courts. That's what the law says. Conduct prejudicial to the effective and efficacious administration of the business of the courts. The business of the courts is justice, and Boston federal courts have been out of business for years. Glendora's attachment, here too, tells the entire story. Glendora adduces Stearns is mentally disabled. If he is not, then this is pellucidly misconduct. The paradox undoes him. He should be dismissed, fined, and jailed. Unless, of course, he confesses, and he atones, and he restitutes, and he reforms. But he should go to psychology classes, just the way they made a United States District Judge in Tennessee, Memphis, go to psychology classes. That judge's name was McCallum. Yours in truth and an amor patriae, A Chat with Glendora on 44 TV stations equals 440 municipalities, including Washington, D.C. And the address. And telling Stearns to correct his address. He's using an address that's 4 years old, and he's been told for 4 years to use another address. Here's the service list. Can you read that? Oh, I think you can. Center for Judicial Accountability, Orrin Hatch. Senator Brownback, that's a new one, brand new today. The House Judiciary Committee. Meekum, the so-called U.S. Administrator, the Administrator of U.S. Courts. George Bush. McDermott. Glendora TV audience, that's you. You're the most important one there. Glendora Internet audience. Stearns. And 5 sets to Bodine, the Chief Judge. By the way, he was the defendant that Stearns sold his soul for. Who's this? Oh, Norgal. Yeah, I forgot. I gotta send one to him. And who to sue? Who to sue? 3 copies. Okay, this is Opus 1177. It took 2 hours and it cost $10.09 to print and post. This Uniform Commercial Code, Book 1, Section 207. Folks, I think this is philosophic. This is a sumac, right? Or a sumac. And you try to get, I can't get the screen away. But if I take it from the ground, you won't see them well. But these red plumes, I just think it's wonderful. And I can't get a good picture of it. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty. Can you imagine that? Isn't that beautiful? Can you get another one? There's one. I see at least 7 of them up there. Aren't they lovely? I'd love to have something like that for one of my hats. And this screen isn't removable. Let's see if we can get a close-up of this one. There's 3 of them. Can you imagine that? Sumac. What are these little plants? These little white ones?
I don't know. You have to ask Mary.
But that coleus is so pretty. And these are hosta. And look at these. Isn't that a beautiful color? These are the tangerine lilies. I should have got over here earlier, but we didn't have any sunshine. These are my neighbor's lilies. And these are Easter lilies. Now Mary takes the Easter lilies from church and keeps them all winter or puts the bulbs in and they come right up in the spring. Aren't they pretty? These are Easter lilies taken from church last year. Now, this is a good day to videotape. You don't know how long we had to wait for the sunshine. I'm afraid we're a little late. We had some spectacular ones and they've gone. But those are certainly pretty. This is beautiful yellow. Beautiful yellow. Look how they are face up to the sky. Most of them are over to the side. And this is some church Easter lilies. Isn't that great? So, Easter lilies from church. Don't throw them away. I don't know if she puts the bulbs in the ground all winter or... These are pretty. Those are petunias, aren't they, folks? Now here's one I should have got for you. I'm too late. Oh, this is an amaryllis. An amaryllis, I recognize the leaf. Oh, that was spectacular. I'm too late now. These are sweet, like trumpets. They give their best, don't they? These are white lilies, but they're not Easter lilies, are they? That one just seems to be suspended in midair. Where we burned the trunks of the sumac trees that blew over in the tornado. We burned them and made a big hole, black hole. And then I had to water these. There's a north hole and a south hole. And I had to water these in the morning and in the evening. And this is where the topsoil of the driveway was. And so we distributed the topsoil. And now I have to water that every morning and evening, but not in the last 2 or 3 days. We've certainly had enough rain to take care of it. Okay.
Did you hear what Harry's favorite pastime is? He plays his wedding videotape backwards so he can see himself walk out of church a free man. 914-949-9495. I never can get a hold of you. Never. It's always a recorder.
That's B-Cat, Kareem Bland, public access in Brooklyn. The Public Service Commission number. are face up to the sky. Most of them are over to the side. And this is some church Easter lilies. Isn't that great? So, Easter lilies from church. Don't throw them away. I don't know if she puts the bulbs in the ground all winter or... These are pretty. Those are petunias, aren't they, folks? Now here's one I should have got for you. I'm too late. Oh, this is an amaryllis. An amaryllis, I recognize the leaf. Oh, that was spectacular. I'm too late now. These are sweet, like trumpets. They give their best, don't they? These are white lilies, but they're not Easter lilies, are they? That one just seems to be suspended in midair. Where we burned the trunks of the sumac trees that blew over in the tornado. We burned them and made a big hole, black hole, and then I had to water these. There's a north hole and a south hole, and I had to water these in the morning and in the evening. And this is where the topsoil of the driveway was, and so we distributed the topsoil. And now I have to water that every morning and evening, but not in the last 2 or 3 days. We've certainly had enough rain to take care of it.
Okay. Did you hear what Harry's favorite pastime is? He plays his wedding videotape backwards so he can see himself walk out of church a free man. 914-949-9495. I never can get a hold of you. Never. It's always a recorder.
That's BCAT, Kareem Bland, Public Access in Brooklyn. The Public Service Commission number.
About a telecommunications or cable issue, press 2. To leave your At the tone, please leave your comment about a telecommunications or cable issue. Please say and spell the name of the company you are calling about.
This is Glendora, and I'm asking you to watch a chat with Glendora on the internet. It's full screen, just like a TV set. There are 4 half-hour programs on the internet now, and there's 8 more coming. It's up there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we don't have to put up with a public service commission that ingratiates itself with the money men, the cable operators. We are there, and it's our allodium. It's held in absolute independence. 914-949-9495. The site is www.chatwithglendora.com. This is our affranchisement. That's really what it is. We are affranchised from you people who don't take care of us and who ingratiate yourselves with the public, with the cable operators. Glendora, a chat with Glendora on 44 cable TV stations and 440 municipalities.
This is a loaf of bread that my neighbor Mary made for me. It's oat and some wheat. How does she do it? Every time her bread turns out so beautifully. You want a piece? Want a piece with imperial margarine on it? I cut a piece. It cuts beautifully. This is about the 4th time it's rained today. I think we had rain for 5 days. Let's have some baked beans with our salubrious bread. Salubrious bread. Elizabeth was my teacher, 10 years old today, and she gave me a test on the words from 150 to 238. I don't think I did very well, but she gave me an A. Word 151 is adversative or end of verse, and word 238 to 239 is amphictyony. That's a community gathering for the protection of a religion. Doris Sassar wanted a list of the 44 TV stations A Chat with Glendora is on. And so here it is. And I stapled it all backwards. East Hampton, Amagansett, Montauk, New York, Long Island. Far east as you can go. Riverhead, Long Island. Brookhaven, Long Island. Hauppauge, Long Island, Suffolk County. Nassau County, Long Island, Huntington, Islip, and Babylon. Manhattan, New York City. Queens, New York City. Staten Island, New York City. Bronx, New York City, Brooklyn, New York City. Yonkers, Saturdays at 4 p.m. This is Westchester County we're starting now. New Rochelle and Pelham, Tuesdays, 9:30 p.m. White Plains, Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Greenberg, Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Rye, 10 a.m., 12 p.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m., 8 p.m., 10 p.m. every Monday. Larchmont and Mamaroneck, Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Yorktown, Mohegan Lake, Cortland, and about 10 other municipalities up there. Thursdays, 6:30 p.m., Channel 22. Harrison, Port Chester, Wednesdays, 9:30 p.m. Ossining, Saturdays at 9 p.m. Peekskill, Saturdays at 9 p.m. Mount Vernon, Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Rockland County, Tuesdays at 10:30 p.m. Cross River, Westchester County. That covers about 10 municipalities. It's a big signal. Fridays at 7 p.m. 7 to 9 p.m. That's 2 hours long, Cross River. Poughkeepsie, Thursdays, 2:30 p.m. Wappingers Falls. That covers several municipalities. Thursdays at 10 p.m. Wingdale, which is Eastern Dutchess County, Thursdays, 10 p.m. Fairfield County, Connecticut, Fridays, 10:30 p.m. We let 15 minutes go by and we didn't rejoice. God of our fathers, whose almighty hand leads forth in beauty all the starry band of shining worlds in splendor through the sky. Our grateful songs before thy throne arise. So we go to the last page. Litchfield, Connecticut, Saturdays at 2 p.m. Bergen County, New Jersey, Mondays at 10:30 p.m. Buffalo, New York, Mondays at 6:30 p.m. Santa Fe, New Mexico. I don't know when, and you're bad, Doreen Ortiz, that you will not call me back and tell me. You're bad. Los Alamos, New Mexico, Tuesdays, 2 p.m. And Jean John Rowe, you're good. And Portland, Oregon, Sundays, 7 p.m. These are the times and days that A Chat with Glendora is on in 44 TV stations around the country. Internet, www.achatwithglendora.com. Every day of the week and every hour of the week. And we have our own channel. You don't have to put down an hour. And you don't have to put down a day. And you don't have to put down a channel. First airing was the Stockport Garage. He didn't have time to put on the belt, the fan belt. It makes too much noise. And Ford, for 3 weeks, haven't got in the valve that's supposed to stop this noise when the brakes come on and off. Martha Stewart was sentenced to 5 months, a $30,000 fine. It's really nothing compared to like Elena Sassower, who was standing up for America, who never did any of the things that she was charged with. She never disrupted Congress. And she was sentenced to 6 months. And this was a felony, alleged. Well, their lawyer is going to appeal it on 5 points. That a a juror committed perjury, a government witness committed perjury, and that there was no insider trading. I'm just sorry. I'm just sorry. But good will come out of it. So the first errand was a Stockport garage. The second errand was the Stottville post office. The third errand was gasoline, $1.99. I should have taken a picture of it for you. And the fourth errand was getting the laundry into the washer, and that's where the TV was telling about Martha Stewart, and she held a press conference saying that she didn't feel sorry for herself, but just for the people in her company, that over 200 people had lost their jobs. Fifth errand is Save-A-Lot. Exquisite. Exquisite. And look at the red ones. Red lilies. Red lilies. And an orange one. Aren't they sweet? That's the building I showed you in its underwear. Well, it still is in its underwear. It's a big building. They made considerable progress. Folks, I wanted to show you this one-lane bridge. One-lane bridge. See, there's the lower falls. I would like to see those from the front. And that goes to the upper falls that we've seen so many times. But this is a one-lane bridge. Goodbye videotaping, hello editing. And at 5:30 a.m. rejoice that we have public access. Editing is about to begin. Prediction, 12 hours. Thank you people, thank you God. I feel sorry for Martha Stewart and for all of the other people involved. And I wish that they would be. As happy as you and I are. Amen. Now thank we all our God with hearts and minds and voices, who wondrous things have done, in which the world rejoices, who from our mother's arms have sent us on our way, with countless gifts of love, and still are ours today. Thank you, God, for this new day, and thank you, God, for yesterday. And give them this day their daily bread. That's the way you do it. You close the videotaping. And you zero this so that you know how much footage there is on here. And you plug this in.
From New York, you can visit us in person or order any number of unpleasant experiences by phone. It's Late Night with David Letterman. Tonight, Rob Reiner, cable TV talk show host Glendora, and comedian Rich Neidner, plus Paul Schaefer and the NBC Orchestra. And now, a guy who likes salad as much as the next guy. Unless the next guy is named Mr. Giant Bunny, David Letterman.
And the show was so much fun and just so good. It was white hot, and as a result, we didn't really have enough time, the fair amount of time to devote to this woman, so she consented to be over on the show tonight, stayed over. Her name is Glendora, and she is here tonight. You know, as I'm explaining that, I can hear a voice in my head saying, "Dave, you're just full of hot gas." And now, what was that? Speaking of hot gas, well, thank you very much. What's next here? Top 10. Category tonight in the top 10 list from the whole. Glendora will be here, and also comedian Rich Scheidner. Tomorrow on the program, tomorrow is another great show. I don't know who's putting the show together, but this one is another solid gold program. Paul, you don't have any Rolaids, do you?
I can send out for some.
Yeah, do you mind?
Yeah, I'll send out.
I feel like I'm having a little trouble here tonight.
What could cause a thing like that?
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, on the program tomorrow, Sugar Ray Leonard will be here. And also from the Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia and Bob Weir. That'll be tomorrow night. Now, let's just bring out Glendora, shall we? Okay. My next guest believes in using television to spread her own special brand of happiness. She has made over 100 commercials. We have an example of one right here.
Hey, folks. How are you today? Just miserable, right? This is Glendora for delicious Worthington Veggie Links. Veggie Links by Worthington, folks, have no cholesterol. Delicious Veggie Links have fewer calories than regular hot dogs, and Veggie Links have no preservatives. I have no preservatives either. You see the wrinkles? Get your delicious Veggie Links at the Glendora Health Nook at...
No need to shop everywhere. Go straight to Twin Fair.
And her show, A Chat with Glendora, has featured guests like Robert C. Wright, the president of NBC. Folks, please welcome the happiness lady, Glendora. Hi, Glendora. How are you? Pleasure to see you. Please have a seat. Where are you from, Glendora? Where does this show take place? Where can people see this?
Oh, the Chat with Glendora?
Yeah.
You can see this on Manhattan Cable TV and Paragon Cable TV, and you can also see it in Westchester, where all the rich people live, United Artists Cable.
And from where does it originate?
Well, of course, we originated at Mr. Wright's office and at Madeline Smithberg's dressing room and at Mr. and the chairman of General Foods and the chairman of Nestle's. We originated in people's offices. Some people come to our home, David.
I see.
The chairman of Colgate Palmolive Pete came to our home.
How do you get all of these people?
At 7 a.m.
And I guess you were steamed, huh, that he was there so early?
Well, the thing that interested me about him, David, was that he did his own marketing research, and he went through all of our cupboards to see if we had any Colgate Palmolive products.
Mm-hmm. And what did the research turn up?
Zero.
Zero.
He didn't look under the sink cupboard where he would have found something. He didn't go into the bathroom cupboard.
Yeah.
He really would have found something.
Now, tell me about the show. What is the format? When somebody tunes in, what do they see?
They see where were you born, where'd you go to school, what were your jobs, what is your present work like, and what advice would you give a youngster to get started on such a career today?
So it's an interview show primarily?
Yes, that's what we asked Mr. Wright.
Yeah, a half-hour show, is it?
Yes, isn't it amazing what the public will stand?
And is it on once a week?
Yeah, oh yes.
And how many years have you been on the air?
Well, I've been on television 35 years, but that show's been on the air a year and 3/4.
Are you hoping that this particular show will maybe grow, perhaps expand, maybe get to a network status or a local TV station or something?
Well, I sort of doubt that.
You don't think that'll happen? Well, you sure have the wardrobe for it, you know. Now let's take a look. Show me some of the footage. This is Robert Wright, the president now of NBC. You know, how did you get this guy to be on the show? Because we've asked him for years and years.
Have you?
Now. Oh yeah, and he won't come on the show. How did you get him?
It must be my good looks, huh?
Yeah.
Except I did talk to him over the phone, so that wouldn't have helped. No, I figure this way, David. He's a nice man, and he does want to help the youth. And that's what this is all about.
He wants to help the youth.
Yeah, that's what this problem...
Have we heard anything about that? He wants to help the youth? Paul, did you hear anything about Robert Wright wanting to help the youth of this country?
Robert C. Wright?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to help the youth.
I think he just... I think he's just looking to balloon the stock prices. I think that's about all we're into here.
No, he's a very nice man.
Very nice man. All right, now let's take a look at a couple of seconds from his interview on your show, okay? We have that here? Yeah. Robert C. Wright and Glendora, helping the youth. It is a chat with Glendora.
And then we got General Electric acquired RCA. And then I came over from General Electric to become the president of NBC. And that's how I got here.
Oh, it's such an interesting career. And that's how you ended up in Fairfield, because I think General Electric's cable was centered in Fairfield, wasn't it?
Yes, I actually never worked in Fairfield.
Oh, you never did?
No, I've worked, most recently my office was in Stamford, Connecticut before I came here.
Oh.
Although I live in that area, but I didn't work there.
I see, yeah. This is Mr. Robert C. Wright, who is the president and chief executive officer of NBC. And he'll be back in just a second and tell you what his work is like to see if you'd like to aim for that as a career. And then he'll also give you some ideas how to get started in broadcasting in today's world.
It seems like you and he were dressed alike. Didn't he? You sort of have the same kind of look there. Now, I don't want to linger on this, but how did General Electric's acquisition of RCA, how did that ultimately help the youth of this country?
What helped the youth was Mr. Wright telling how he got started, because
I see.
he was at the
Vocational
same
information.
point. Yeah, he was at the same point in his development as the youth who watch the program. We hope are in theirs.
I see. Now tell me about your personal recipe for happiness. You're known as the happiness lady.
Well,
is that what they say?
No.
What do they call you?
Glendora.
Yeah.
And what did you say your name was?
I'm Dave. I'll be
No.
my last night.
You are a very good interviewer.
Well, thank you.
And I'm going to recommend you for a raise.
Thank you.
The recipe for happiness, David, is that there's one thing in this world that you can do better than anybody else. And if you will go by yourself, you will find out what that is. And you will do it, and you'll be happy. Now, if you don't do it, David, it's going to nag at you every second of your life.
So you find out what it is that you're good at.
No, the one thing that you can do better than anybody else.
The one thing you can do better than anyone else, and you just concentrate on that.
Yes, you do.
And then that'll make you happy.
Well, sure, because you'll get everything you want.
Yeah. And the Vegilinks, vegetable protein, no meat at all in here, right?
No meat.
Oh, all right. Well, geez, Glendora, good luck with the show.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I hope you can come back and see us again sometime.
Oh, we'd like to very much. Would that take 2 days or just one the next time?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, that's right. You were supposed to be here last night. Okay. We have to go here now. We have other guests. But thank you very much. Nice to see
you. Universal, the studio that brought you all...
I've got a great job. Money in the bank. Last month, someone asked if I read the Bible. The Bible? I'm successful. I'm happy. What do I need the Bible for? I can get more from the Wall Street Journal. But that made me curious. So I decided to take a second look.
I'm on my feet all day. When I go home, I just want to turn on the TV and relax. But read the Bible? All those these and thous and begats? Who wants to struggle with that after waiting on customers all day? But then a friend showed me this version written in modern English, and I was surprised.
This guy I play hoops with said I should start reading it, the Bible. Man, I said, I don't need no Bible. I mean, it just ain't cool. So he goes, I read it all the time. And he beat me by 20 points. So he gives me his Bible. I read it. It ain't hoops, but it ain't bad.
What's your excuse? Before you make an excuse to avoid reading the Bible, stop. Take a second look. Pick up the Bible for 5 minutes, and you may pick it up for a lifetime.
Opposing the implementation of new local